Hey game makers, Nelderson speaking here, and today I wanted to make a video on getting set up with AWS. What is AWS? Why would I need to get set up on AWS, you ask? Well, AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. There is actually a whole suite of products, as you see right in here, that you can use with Amazon. Everything from compute instances to storage to database to all sorts of things that you will probably never touch in your adult life. Like I said, all pretty cool stuff, all great and wonderful. You can the reason why you would use this is so that you can put your online server outside of your network. So, we've been doing everything localhost, which is all great and fine for your computer, but if you want somebody else from the outside world to connect to your server, you need to point it to a place where everyone can go to. Okay? And that's kind of what we're doing tonight. I'm gonna start from scratch, create an account, get in there. I'm actually gonna go Windows server so that we can view a different workflow. But Ubuntu server is highly recommended on my end. I've done it before. I can say that Node runs a little bit faster on either Ubuntu or Red Hat. Any type of Linux will run it a little bit faster. I just happen to be more comfortable with Ubuntu. But tonight I'm going to do it in Windows. Okay, so today I'm going to do it in Windows. I am by no means a Windows Server expert. But you can do things like integrate it with IIS and, put all sorts of security features on it, run it with ASP.NET applications. I mean, you can do all sorts of really cool stuff with Windows Server that I am not even going to be close to touching. This is just a different environment setup because we've been doing everything on Mac OS, and Mac OS X is very similar to the Linux setup. So I figure, hey, let's shake it up. Let's do a Windows Server. Okay, so first things first, let's sign up with an account. So I am going to skip over some of this. I'm going to skip through some of this because it's probably going to ask me for personal questions. You can do this with me and pause it and come back, but I'm going to do this kind of off screen, get this set up and running, and then we're going to talk a little bit about why I chose Amazon Web Services. Alrighty, game makers. I made my account. Now, a few things with this. In order to sign up for an Amazon Web Service account, you need a valid email, a valid phone number, and a credit card. Okay. Now, with the credit card, they do charge you $1 to start. It is literally the only thing they charge you, and they have to do it in order to make sure that it works. With Amazon Web Services, you get a free year to kind of test out their stuff. It's called the free tier. So eventually you will go to a billable hour. It comes out to if you do a basic EC2 instance, it comes out to $6-7 a month. I mean, it's not crazy, but it gives you a year to play around with it. If you want to just test it out and, you've tried it on your local host machine, you've tried my server, you're ready to take the next step, I'm giving you at least the opportunity to take the next step for relatively nothing. Amazon Web Services, like I said, does charge you $1. I believe they give it back to you. I'm not 100% positive, but it's $1 for a year worth of services. The way it works is you can have one EC2 instance at a time, and there's a whole bunch of other things that you can read into, and you can just type into Google AWS free tier and they will go nuts with telling you exactly what you can do. With that said, let's set up our EC2 instance. So EC2 is their Elastic Container, I believe it's short for. Don't quote me on that. Okay, but we are going to start an instance. Now, when you see this, the first thing that you'll notice is you'll see on the left-hand side, free tier eligible, free tier eligible, free tier eligible, which is kind of cool. You can actually hit right over here, free tier only, which will only give you the free tiers. Okay, and this is pretty cool. So Amazon Linux is it's like a Red Hat Linux almost, and you can pick any one of these servers. Okay, so Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu server, which I personally like, but today we're going to do Microsoft Windows Server just because we can. Okay, and like I said, it tells you exactly what's free tier eligible. Okay, so you can look at the specs and everything like that. We're going to review and launch. Okay. Yep. We are going to make our own security group in a little bit, but okay, so when you hit launch for this review instance launch, it tells you about this existing key pair or create a new key pair. So everything in Amazon Web Services is extremely security based. Usually it generates what's called a PEM file, which is like think of it like an encrypted key. Okay, so we are going to create a new key. And we're just gonna call this Nelderson test. Okay, and we're gonna download the key pair, which downloads to your computer. Okay, you now have to have this whenever you log in. If it was an Ubuntu server or something along those lines, you would use it with your SSH command. And in the next section, you'll if you do like an Ubuntu or a Red Hat Linux, they have a whole tutorial on how to do that. But for Windows, it's a little bit different, and we're going to go over Windows right now. So we're going to launch our instance. Creating groups, all that good stuff. All right. Your instances are now launching. All right, so I just went to my services and EC2 compute. Okay, and right in here, I see one running instance. So if I come here, excuse me, my apologies. EC2. No, I was right. All right, running instance. Wow. Okay, so here's what we got here. Okay, we can either launch the instance, connect, or we can do some different actions here. Like I said, this right here looks kind of confusing. This is like, what the heck is this? Okay, the easiest way to explain this is it's just your own private server. Okay, set up technically somewhere around Oregon. Let's hit connect. Okay, you can connect your Windows desktop, remote desktop client of your choice. So if you already have a Windows machine, if you are doing this currently on a Windows computer, you just have to download this remote desktop file and just run it, and it'll run just fine. And it'll open up a remote desktop window and you're good to go. For me, I'm on Mac OS X. I already have Microsoft Remote Desktop downloaded, so it'll work for me where I click this and it'll open up. But if you are on Mac OS X and this kind of is nothing, download Microsoft Remote Desktop from the App Store and it's free. Okay, so let's open that sucker up. All right, now it's asking for an administrator and a password. The password is a little bit of a problem. If you see here, when prompted, connect your instance using the following credentials and get password. So password is not available yet. Well, this is why you don't do things pretty quickly. I'll come back when this actually works. It finally worked. Okay. So pretty much, you take that key that we downloaded earlier, that PEM file, and you actually have to put it in here. Now I'm going to do this on screen because I have no intention of keeping this instance past this YouTube video. But this is the kind of password you do not want to show anybody, because this is how you will log into it every single time. And I mean, you can always create a new PEM file, I guess, so it's not that big of a deal, but just in general, not a good idea. So downloads, Nelson PEM, decrypt password, and it shows your password right here. Alrighty, so nice. Okie dokie. So yay, we now have our own little personal server out in the world somewhere. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. All right, I'm gonna cut through a lot of this really quickly because I don't want to spend too much time getting this set up and running, but this is kind of cool. Sweet. This kind of tells you everything that you need to know. Public IP address and private and all that good stuff. Nice. That public IP address is what we're going to be connecting to eventually. All right, so if all that works out. First things first, if you try to go onto Internet Explorer and just try to do things on a Windows server, it is the most god-awful experience that you will ever have in your entire life. Everything is locked down. It tells you no on everything. It says, hey, your computer's being attacked every 5 seconds. It's not fun. So we're gonna turn that off real quick. Oh my dear God. Okay. Don't use them. Oh God. This silliness. Okay, so we're gonna go local server. And I believe it is Windows IE Enhanced Security. By the way, this should be on normally. We're just turning it off because this is more development purposes. But you know, the half system admin in me really does not want to do this, but we have to. We have no choice, or it is going to be a terrible day. Let's get in here and let's first download Node.js. Node.js.org. We're going to download the long-term stable version. All right, while that's running, we're also going to download Git for Windows, because we're also going to go over a couple Git commands. Download A. Okay, and I'm going to blow through this really quick, because it's just, you know, your basic install. All right, so Git. Use Git from the Windows command prompt. This is exactly what we want. Unless you want to download Git Bash, which is perfectly fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm going to download Notepad really quick, just so we have something a little easier to read than Notepad, which would just be brutal. Alrighty, we got everything downloaded. Let's open up the command window. So CMD. Never mind, we might have to put it in here. I'm sorry. So if we go CMD, hit enter. When it decides to catch up. Excellent. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to the directory that we want to down. Really quick, before we do that, let's just check our node version. Make sure that we're good. Excellent. See if we can get a Git version. Excellent. Okay. So we know everything installed correctly. All right, let's CD into the desktop. The quickest way for me to do this, I've always found, this PC, users, administrator, desktop. So I am just gonna copy that. I am gonna paste that in there, hit enter. Okay, and that allows us, so that CDs into that. So that it changed our directory into this. Okay, we are going to use Git Clone. So for those of you who are familiar with Git Clone, you'll understand the benefits. For those of you who are not initiated, really quickly. Okay, in this clone or download section, you can use Git or checkout. So we're going to use Git Clone. We're going to copy this. Okay, and we are going to type in Git Clone. We're going to paste that sucker in there. Okay, and what this does is it goes out to GitHub and it downloads everything, and you can see MV Online is now on our desktop. Another cool thing that you can do now once you go into MV Online, so if we change our directory into MV Online, okay, we can also use a command called git pull. Now what git pull does is it checks the server if there's been any changes. So periodically I'll come out with updates, and if I come out with an update and you have stuff locally on your machine, it'll pull all the stuff that has not been, all your locally changed stuff will not change, but all the stuff that I have updated around it will. So it's a pretty cool thing to use. All right, really quick off screen, I am going to set up my config file, and then we'll get rocking and rolling with this. All right, so we have this configured. We're gonna change our directory into our server. Okay. What is it? dir. to see everything in there. Okay. Yeah, this has our package.json file. So now, I'm just going to clear the screen really quick. Now we can run our npm install. And with Windows, npm install is not enough. You have to actually specify the -d symbol. Okay, so we're going to hit this. This is going to take a while. All right, now we can finally run our npm start again. Okay. And it's thinking. Come on, Windows. Come on. Okay. Server is on and running. Now, there's two things that we didn't do. So this theoretically will work, but we have two issues. The first is on the Windows particular side, and the other is on Amazon Web Services side. So by default, Windows and Amazon both block all unnecessary ports. Okay, so right now you see that we are running on port 8000. So in Windows, we actually have to give an exception in Windows Firewall. Unless you just want to turn it off. If Windows Firewall is giving you issues, just turn it off just to see what's going on. But I believe we can inbound rules. New rule. It's been a while since I've done this. Port next. Specific local. 8000. Yeah, TCP. Wait a minute. Okay. And this is where you can do like allow the connection if it's secure, if you want to like put it down to HTTPS. There's all sorts of things you can do. All right. Specify the name. MV Online rule. And yeah, you can put whatever you want. Oh, there we go. All right, so now that's running on port 8000. So we did it on there. The next thing we got to do is do it on here. So we actually have to go to the security group. So over on this left-hand side, security groups. I believe we are on Launch Wizard 1. And I can tell because on the inbound. So this is kind of like the description and inbound, outbound. So outbound, this all traffic, all port ranges, and destination 000. Pretty much this allows every type of outbound traffic. So anything that's going in, so anything that's coming out from your server is automatically allowed, which makes total sense. So, because it's coming from your server. Anything that's coming to the server, right now the only thing that's open is the RDP port, which is the Remote Desktop Protocol port, so that you can log into your machine. So we are going to add a couple rules. So we're going to add a good rule of thumb, since we're going to probably be using this for HTTP. It's just adding HTTP. And we'll just leave it at the default. Add rule. We are also going to do, we'll just do a custom TCP. And we will add port 8000. Okay. And I'm sure that'll work, but I'm not quite positive. I know that'll work some. Alright, so if we go back to our EC2 our running instances. This has instance. As you can tell, I do this all the time. Security groups. Launch Wizard 1. And you can even view the inbound rules from here. Okay? So you can actually see what's going on. Cool. So with those two things in check, now we should be able to go to this 35165 here. So I am on my local machine right now, sitting on the Eastern Seaboard, and I made that server in Oregon. So I believe by default I should actually have an what did I call it? Example/testing should come up with. Oh, port 8000. Sorry. Hold on. My apologies. We gotta do port 8000. Success false. No token provided. Okay. I will take this. Example testing. Oh, you wanna know why? because I put it in the authentic. You had to be authenticated in order to go in. But this is pinging off the server. Everything's open and working. Great, awesome. So we just officially set up a server online outside, and now you could technically give anyone this IP address with this port and make your game. So, all right. So let me open up my project, my good old Project 6. We know it works. We know it's running well. So let's go into our main core. Our plugin is right down here. And instead of localhost, let's instead do this public IP. So I'm going to copy. I'm going to come in here. And I am going to paste. Okay, so if we come in here, we do that, we do that, we do that. We save, we start this sucker up. And if I did everything right, I believe I set everything up right. We connect, and there you go, baby. It is now connecting to that server over in Oregon. Once again, I'm on the upper east coast of the United States, so all the way across the country, and it works just fine. So this is how you would do it. Now, this bunch of numbers is all fine and good, but let's say you have a website. There's such a thing called an A-host record, where you can actually point your domain to this number. And then point the server, the main core, to that server namespace. So let's say I had, NeldersonGaming.com tied to this IP address. I could go http://NeldersonGaming.com, port 8000, and use whatever namespace you want. You can go on and get whatever.com, or it doesn't matter. But that is how, network-wise, that is how you get it done. With that, if you have any comments or concerns or questions, feel free to leave them below. Later, game makers.